Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to Successful Witches, our After Dark segment where we are obsessed with indie romance, spice, smut, happily ever afters. This is our special weekly segment that we do where we review our favorite reads that just have captured our imagination and our attention and our everything and live rent-free in our heads with my beautiful guest host for these After Dark segments, Nicole fucking Middleton herself. Welcome on in, darling.
Hello, hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very excited about today's episode.
I'm so excited. Can you
Are
see
you
like
excited
I can't
about
sit
today's
still?
episode?
I can't. This is like one of the books series that kind of we started with, and I was just like, what has happened to my brain and my life?
I'm pretty certain that I sent you a manic voice note demanding that you read this.
Yeah, it was serious.
I was like,
it was
Nicole,
serious.
I need this to happen immediately. It is a quick read. Get into it.
I feel like it was like a
I need
ransom
to
letter. Like,
scream.
if you do not by this date, I will decapitate a finger until like it was very serious. I was like, whoa, okay.
I was like, I need somebody to read this book with me.
No one's reading this. And now I'm like taking that from you. I'm like telling everyone to read this. I'm like, have you read this book?
Yeah.
And no one's listening to me. And I'm like, you need to read this. Like, this will change your life. Have you said this about every single book? This will change your life.
I think there's like a running theme in this segment is just constantly us saying this book will fucking change your life.
This book will fucking change your life. Yeah, for reals though.
For reals.
This was one of my first. And we actually mentioned, I think we mentioned when we started this podcast, we're like, are we going to do the pan books? And we were like, oh, I don't know. It might be a bit like
build into our.
We need to build it. It might be a bit like two in the deep end, two in the dark end, two in the everything end. So we're like, let's just build up
to just like dive straight in with this book. But we were very close to diving straight in with this book. So if you've been around for the last few weeks at the time that we're recording this, releasing this in the early days of our episodes, we are very, very much have been looking forward to be able to talk about this book because well, this series, it's a series, but it is a series of short books that more or less we're going to talk about this as if it is one book. And we're not going to spoiler things for books 2, 3, and 4, but we are going to focus a lot on book 1 because it is essentially the equivalent of what we would talk about in one of our normal episodes in terms of how much we would kind of give away of the story or, you know, lead you into the story, so to speak. So without further ado, drum roll, please, Nicole, that we are talking about The Never King by the Queen herself, Nikki St. Crowe. Now, Nicole, would you like to do the honors of setting the scene or context for what The Never King invites us into as a world?
Good Lord. Do we have another saying for this week? It's not Christ in a cracker, something else.
Just in a very quick nutshell, maybe like 2 to 3 lines.
Boys and girls. This is the adult version of a beautiful tale that you've never heard before. Because you've never heard it before in this way. It is so dark and juicy and scrumptious. It's like a decadent molten lava, scrumptious, dark dessert that you just have to just consume. It is the Peter Pan beautiful story where a retelling of Peter Pan where the girl doesn't just get one villain. Hold it. Pause for effect. She gets all the villains. She gets Pan and the Lost Boys. She gets them all.
Go win.
The crowd goes wild.
Winnie, darling, you are something else, girl.
Holy shit. And Nikki's and Crowe, the way you write this is just like
Mm,
magical.
mm. It
It's
is
just, yeah, it just
addictive.
draws you in. It's
Fucking
addictive. Yeah,
addictive.
it's
Fucking
addictive.
addictive.
I
Yeah.
had panic attacks when there was only 3 books out, because this is what I don't do. I don't read the latest books. I don't watch the latest series. I binge. I binge because I'm like, who am I when the book is finished? I don't know what life I need to now live. Like, I
I
don't
always
know who
know
I am
when
anymore.
I always know when Nicole goes quiet in our WhatsApp chat about books and screaming at each other about our smutty reads, that she's like basically descended into the world of the book, and
Yeah.
I will not see her until she like comes up for air. And then
Yeah,
it's
and Rose,
basically
she
like
like sending me like a
yelling at
popcorn
me.
video, like, can you please tell me where you're up to? And I'm like, oh shit, I need to tell Rose where I'm up to. And then I start screaming again.
And I'm pretty sure that's what happened with this book. So, or this
Mhm.
series, I should say. So, The Never King is is book 1 in the series, and basically the tagline to remember throughout this world is the villain gets the girl, or in this case, the
The
villain
villain gets the
gets the girl,
darling.
because Winnie Darling gets, as you say,
Mhm.
Nicole, not 1, not 2, not 3, but she gets 4. And holy fucking shit, what a 4 to have in your life.
I'll never be the
we
same again. I will never be the same.
we are delving into the world of what is known as the why choose genre, which
Mhm.
essentially the concept being that there is no choosing. There is just love is love. Everyone is enjoying everything in a very consensual, very open, very fluid, non-defined kind of way. Why choose, for those who haven't read it before, can be, as in this case, a book where we have males who are not interacting with other males within the group,
Mhm.
but are all focused on the female who is kind of at the center of their relationship, situationship, whatever we want to call it.
I mean, how brilliant.
Dream scenario.
I mean, yeah, dream fucking scenario.
But we also have why choose books that cover the full spectrum of polyamory. It can be from anything from 3 to 4 to 5 to more. I mean, there is, the sky is the limit, really. Or should we say the pussy is the limit, really,
Yeah.
in terms of what can be handled.
But yeah, I think you're right. Like, there's so many
Yeah,
different variations
there
of
are a
this,
lot
and
of different
the
variations.
why choose doesn't
Yeah.
always just focus on the woman. Sometimes the relationship is just everybody's fluid in it, and it's
Yes.
beautiful.
And we have bisexuality, we have male, we have swords
Mhm.
crossing, we have sexual awakening, we have
Oh,
previous relationships bringing in new members. Like, there is just the full spectrum. So before we kind of dive in too much further, because as we're recording this, it is Pride Month, and
yay.
I wanted to make sure that we do feature a few of these why choose recs that are my personal favorites, that do cover the full multicolored beautiful spectrum of hashtag love is love, because that's what we're all about here. So
Yeah,
before we
100 and
get
fucking
into
10%.
talking about Win and Her Boys, I've got my little list here that I just want to recommend, because these books are all fucking fantastic. And if you enjoy Why Choose, get in on these. So we have Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert, which is hot. Like,
It's on my list. It's on my list.
hot. We have Pucking Around by Emily Rath.
It's on my list.
Yeah, Nicole's like,
I'm excited by that one.
yeah. Oh my god. Don't even get me started. Like, that is one that I am like gagging for us to do an episode on.
Oh gosh. Okay, cool. We'll do one. I'll read that one.
But I have to warn our listeners and viewers that I will be obsessively talking about Caleb from Pucking Around. So you can look forward to that treat when we get around to that episode.
Mhm.
Losers by Harley LaRue, which is 2 books. It's a duet, but there's also like a
Yeah.
pre-novella. It's like a short story and I'm pretty sure that one is all from the female main character's point of view, and it kind of like centers. So Losers is like it's like a bully romance where she was the bully at the high school, and she ends up in this situationship with her beautiful band of male main characters, who are in an existing kind of like polyamorous relationship, found family dynamic. Like it is just the most fucking
gold.
cool.
It sounds amazing.
That book, like that series, that like duet series, whatever we want to call it, just fucking lives rent free in my brain, because it is so beautifully representative of like male relationships, bisexual relationships, non-defined found family sexuality, fluid sexuality, like just chef's fucking yes. And holy hell, like the spice in that book.
And can I just say how amazing it is to, like, if anybody's questioning their sexuality, and like how epic it is to discover things through books like this, through fantasy and through other people's experience, but written in like these kind of stories. It's just beautiful to be sexually awakened through experiences like this, and you're living their experience, and you get to feel what they feel, and you get to step into their shoes, understand the what's going through their mind and their whole processes through their own awakenings, and it's just gold. So 100% recommend.
And I really love that you brought that up, because say, for example, in Court of the Vampire Queen, we've got a situation where two of the male main characters have been in they had a past relationship, like for a very long time, like two of the vampires. And then there's like a third vampire in that who is very like, I don't even know what to describe Wolf as. Like he's literally, his name is Wolf, and he is just like a loose fucking cannon, but he is the best fucking character in that book. And he is like non anything. Like he is not defined by anything.
That sounds amazing.
And he's so good as like a real representative character of that, of like I just go wherever,
I don't give a fuck,
wherever the vibes are, you know. And then in Pucking Around, we actually have a really beautiful like burgeoning bisexual awakening between the two of the male main characters in that book. That one already knows his sexuality and he's very comfortable in that. However, the other one has like only ever identified as straight. However, polyamorous relationship blossoms into something, and there's like this fucking scene where Jake is literally like standing there going, I want more, and having to like express for the first time like what he wants in a
I just got goosebumps everywhere. I fucking love that.
We're not even supposed to be talking about these books, but like so as I say, Losers also very like yes. Deceived by the Gargoyles by Lillian Lark is a really cool one for getting into like paranormal romance genre, because it is literally like monster romance, paranormal romance, but again is like this beautiful found family existing like male dynamic relationship, but they've been looking for someone to come in and be like the female,
like fill a gap.
Like to fill a gap. And the whole kind of concept of that series is like you've got this witch who's like a matchmaker, and it's like these supernatural beings come to her, and she's like a matchmaker, and she reads soul threads, and it's like it's got this really beautiful undertone of like supernaturals looking for like their soul bonds and things. And then this I can't remember if I think she's a witch. She goes and she's like, look, I'm looking for my match. And basically the lady who does this matchmaking is like, how would you feel about more than one?
What about two?
What about three? And delightful
God,
times
please can you set
ensue.
me up with this witch?
Like delightful times ensue after that. And then finally,
I'm sold.
my final recommendation, which I also am like desperate for us to do feature on this at some point, because I like Sierra Simone, please adopt me. I fucking love you. You are like Sierra. if I could like fangirl over Sierra Simone every day, I would, and I already do. Her Thornchapel series is just fucking outstanding, because not only is that like a polyamorous grouping, we have bisexuality, we have like kind of a trio, like two males and a female who are kind of like the core grouping, but then we've got like another male character that comes in, we've got two women who come in and they end up in a kind of like relationship, and so we've got a whole lot of different like
so much
swapping around and fluidity and embracing that, you know, people who were together are now no longer together but then come together for like different moments. And yeah, it's and it's very 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 kinky, very BDSM, very very witchy. Like it all kind of centers around this like kind of like fulfilling this past kind of sequence of events that were very much around like the different solstices and like festivals and like pagan rituals and things. Like it's
I love it.
Like
fucking love
like
it.
If I can sum up like moments of that book, it's basically like orgy in front of a bonfire on like the summer solstice. Like that's the kind of vibe of that book. Sorry, that series. And like Nicole is just like
sold.
Yeah, like when, where.
I want it now. Is that one next? Can we read that one next?
So that was just my little like side tangent into some other books, some other recommendations, because I think it's really important for us to talk about that before we start talking about this in the context of Why Choose, where we have four men who are all focused on the female character. And I know for some people, if they enjoy the Why Choose genre, like that can be a little bit off-putting because, you know, it has got that element of, well, like, you know, there's so much attention just on the one female character. And
I don't mind though.
Yeah, I mean, like I will gobble all of it up every day.
But yeah, no, it does. It doesn't. It's not. It doesn't feel. It feels more fantasy versus in like real life kind of polyamory situation.
I think that's a really good description of it. That because this is essentially like a fantasy setting world. It feels natural, whereas like I think when you've got these contemporary books,
it doesn't feel real.
There is more of that fluidity and like openness to other sexual interactions between the group, whereas in this case, there is, as much as you can say there is sense. It's kind
of like they're brothers because they're the Lost Boys. So it's like they're brothers, and that's kind of the energy behind them versus in other poly books or in any of those kinds of situationship books. There's a lot more of like different people coming together, whereas this is like a family that find a girl, which is so it's a bit of a different vibe. So I think that's where the focus is.
The way the group comes together as well, I think is very important for a lot of these books. And again, if like absolutely welcome to come and like ask in the DMs as well, like if you want any recommendations about these books, because I know that the way the grouping comes together for people can be really important, like because there can be these situations that sort of feel like maybe it's cheating or maybe it's, you know, not consensual and things like that. So in this case, like for the Never King, we have a situation where they are all existing, as you say, like found family, right? They're the Lost Boys and Peter Pan, who is the king essentially in this world, in this book. He is king and these are his Lost Boys. And we have Vane, who is kind of like his right hand man. Vane, holy fucking shit, Daddy Vane. Like
as soon as you say his name, I'm like, Daddy Vane. Are we in it now? Because I'm like rocking.
Nicole and I basically like just be prepared for any time we mention Vane during this episode. Like we are going to have to like collectively just.
And do you know what I think? That's the key here. It's like I swoon over Pan and I swoon over Bash and I swoon over Cass, but when you say Vane, I'm just like
there's like something physical. Nicole disappears out of the
slid off my chair.
Yes, that is the vibe when it comes to Vane. And we will clarify as to why in just a moment. But we also then have in our four like very, very delicious male main characters, we then have Bash and Kaz, who are twins, and they are Fae princes. So cast your mind to how just one hell of a grouping of men we've got going on here, and the context behind how our darling Winnie, or our Winnie darling, I should say,
Winnie darling,
comes into the picture is actually kind of the dark part. It's like the dark seed at the heart of this story, isn't it, Nicole? Like, do you want to kind of explain the context behind how Winnie kind of comes into this world and comes into this environment? Because I think that really lays, in a beautiful way, it lays the foundation for this kind of villainous, dark energy behind the Neverland world that we kind of brought into with this retelling, with this reimagining. And we have to also mention that, and I think this is actually something that Nikki St. Crowe has at the beginning of these books, just as like a content warning, is just to remind everyone that this is an adult retelling. Like, every character in what you would know as the traditional children's fairy tale.
Forget that.
Forget all of that. Like, everyone has been aged up to the age of sexual activity, consent. Everyone is of age to be engaged in what they are.
They're not kids. There's no kids here. We're very far away from that.
There is no minors involved in this story whatsoever.
I actually feel like they're like closer to 30s or late 20s, 30s. Really, like even Vane feels like he's mid 30s to me.
And they're very old souls on top of that.
Old souls, they're like hundreds of years old.
Yeah, like physically they might look, say, late 20s, 30s, I don't know. In terms of like their essence and their being, like they're like, Pan is ancient, right? Like, they talk about how he's the king, but he is like, no one knows when he was created or where he
there's a mystery behind him, like who is he and where did he come from, like
so
it's very beautiful.
So back to Winnie.
Let's get back to Winnie. Okay, so this, and I think this is where the seed gets planted as well. It's like, in the beginning you meet Winnie and you meet her mom as well, and she talks about how her family has had this not really a curse, but they've just got like dementia or some sort of brain disorder in their family, where by a certain age they just like lose it, and it's happened for generations.
It's all the women in her family, right?
So all the women in the Darling family seem to lose it by around 18. No one knows why, but her mom has actually got the story, and the story is of like Peter Pan. And essentially that this man comes and he takes her, and this is what happened, and he's going to take Winnie. So she's been protecting Winnie Darling her whole life, because she's like, I need to separate this, I need to protect her. So she's had like witch doctors, and
is going to come and take
this
you,
bad man's coming to take you. So this poor girl growing up, in the beginning she like believed her mom, and now she's just like, I really feel sorry for my mom, because she fucking lost it, and she thinks she's protecting me, but she's actually not. She's actually causing me so much pain and trauma, and it's horrendous. But in her mind, in her mom's mind, she's like, I have to protect my child because this happened to me. And in the beginning of this book, like, there's a scene where Pan arrives. And he like fucking, I think we've actually got a quote.
I've got the quote. Keep talking.
Yes.
I'm gonna pull up the quote while
pull up the quote. But basically Pan arrives, and when he's like, holy fuck, she wasn't lying. This is real. This whole thing is real. And I think there's a part as well where she's like, I should be really scared, but I'm actually excited. And I don't know what that's about.
So the bit where, as you say, like, she's kind of had this, we get this introduction to this, it's very like, I just have this memory of like reading it, and I'm like, it felt very like eerie and gothic-y, and like, you know, you were kind of like expecting something to jump out of the shadows at you. And it's like the night of her 18th birthday, and they've basically put the house into fucking like lockdown. She's been like shoved in like a basement cellar that's like, and I think is it like that they've covered it in like symbols and like You know,
Yeah, they
they've
do
tried
all like the witch doctory stuff, and
yeah, they've tried everything, like, and contacted every like shaman and priest and
but
like,
she's also
you
like
know,
not even
voodoo.
scared because she honestly
Yeah,
believes that her mom's nuts. So she's like, my
yeah,
poor mom, like nothing's gonna happen to me. I'm gonna be okay. My mom's just gone off her rocker. Like this is just
yeah,
what it is. And she, as much as she feels like shame for her mom, but she's also feeling about like, oh, this is my life and this is just the life I have to live.
yeah,
And she
like,
also reserved herself to like not
because
really
she's
giving a
kind of
shit
ended
about
up
anything.
because she's kind of ended up in a life that's very like destitute, right? Because her
Yes.
mum is like basically gone mad, essentially, like to the outside world. Like she is
Yeah.
definition of like a woman gone mad and like wasted all their
Yeah.
money, and like the house is run down, and Winnie's led this very like hard, hard life. And so
Mm.
she's kind of rebelled over the years by like basically like
Sleeping around
sleeping
and using her
around with
body.
yeah, like she's her body has been abused by her mum, you know, kind of
Mm.
like literally torturing her in some
Yeah.
cases because they've been trying to like
Like
ward off.
putting
Yeah,
like
like they
symbols
tried to
into her
ward off
skin and
symbols, so
stuff.
she's got
Yeah.
like scars and things. And anyway, so she's tried to reclaim that by like using her body in a sexual way,
Yeah.
and which is also something that like I think Nikki St. Crowe does a really great job of kind of touching on in this book as well.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this is the moment that Peter Pan arrives. And at this point, like all we know is that he is the bad guy. Like he is the
Yeah.
villain in this story. So
We should be scared.
yeah, like basically, like everything
We
is
should not be
pointed to the
turned on.
fact.
We should be
Yeah,
scared.
everything is pointed to the fact that we should not be interested in this man at all.
We should be shaking in our boots.
Should be. Let me just collect myself for a moment. There is a distinct sound of a lighter being clipped open, then the rough spin of the metal wheel. The flame catches, sending light over his face as he burns the end of a cigarette. Silver rings on his fingers reflect the flame. Dark tattoos cover his hands. I'm already like, she had me at dark tattoo covers his hands. Like Nikki St. Crowe, you are a genius. You like
The way she writes this
told
is just
me, yeah.
freaking fantastic.
There are several strips of string and leather tied around his wrists. Like, also, if I wasn't already
Right?
interested,
Right?
I wasn't already interested. Now I am.
I'm like, babe, get your leather straps. Didn't you take them off the other? Get them, put them back on. I found your leather straps, babe.
Yeah. For those of you not watching on YouTube, Nicole is like frantically waving at her husband across the room. Anyway, he's tall, broad-shouldered, and wearing a long coat with a stiff collar that stands up around his sharp jaw. Even though his body is hidden beneath the coat, I can tell he's corded with muscle by the mere suggestion of it in his biceps. Oh, Peter Pan, holy hell. When he pulls the cigarette away from his mouth, I can't help but trace the veins that snake over his knuckles with a quick sweep of my eyes. He expels the smoke with a purposeful breath. Meredith, he says, it's been too long. This is talking to Winnie's mum. Mum's breath catches beside me. Is this really happening? You can't have her, she yells, as if you could stop me. My heart leaps to my throat. Please, Mum says. He takes a long hit from the cigarette, the embers burning brightly. I hear the tobacco crackle as smoke curls around his face. Like, honestly, the way
Imagery.
she evokes everything in this book is just
Yeah. I
like
think that's exactly what it is.
so
It's that
sensory.
imagery to
Yeah.
literally build like the perfect image. Like I've got goosebumps everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Everywhere. There's a fluttery feeling in my chest that instantly makes me feel guilty. Like that one line is like, yeah, you and us both, Winnie, like we are right there with you. I suddenly feel more awake than I've felt in years. I should not be feeling anything other than dread in this moment. This is real. Mum was telling the truth. I'm just like, I remember the
for an
first
entry,
time.
holy
The first
fuck.
time I read that scene, I think that might have been the moment that I just like put my phone down and immediately was like, Nicole,
Read this fucking book.
or maybe didn't put my phone down. I think I must have put my Kindle down and like immediately got on WhatsApp, like, Nicole, read this book.
Have you read it yet? Have you read it yet? I need to scream. Oh my
So
God.
yes,
It's just
holy shit, that
beautiful.
is our introduction to Peter Pan, the villain, who takes Winnie Darling.
What a gorgeous villain, though. I mean,
Yeah,
this
what a
whole
villain.
villain.
What a villain.
What a villain. But also, I think there's a part in the beginning of the book where actually she is, I think it's the opening scene or something, where she's basically about to have sex or does have sex with like the quarterback of the
I think
thing.
it's like the opening page where she's like
Yeah.
basically like in the back
Where-
of some guy's truck, and she's like, this is fucking disappointing as all hell. Like,
Yeah, I hate
what?
this. Like,
Yeah.
it's so boring. And this guy's apparently having the time of his life. And she's like, this is
Like,
pretty
hum,
average,
like,
less than
bust my
average.
nails, like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I think that's
So
so freaking powerful as well.
we
Yeah.
know that Winnie Darling is like, she's a spitfire. She's got personality to fucking burn. She is sassy. She is smart. She is confident.
So fucking smart.
She knows how to
Manipulate.
yeah, like,
Manipulate is the
and I say
persuade, the art of
yeah,
persuasion.
I'll say manipulate as well, but like in a way that she does it because that's all she's ever known, right? Like she's not
Yeah.
doing it from a place of like malevolence or anything. Like she's
Yeah, it's
genuinely
like manipulation is to get what you need instead of
because she's
getting
had
what
to
they need,
survive.
and it does. She needs to get what
Yeah,
she needs to for survival. I mean, I think
yeah,
the reason that was because the guy was going to give her a ride somewhere or something, or she just wanted
yeah.
a
She needed like something, and so she had
something.
to
Yeah,
use the only
her
thing she had
guile.
at her disposal, which actually, like, I know we've just done a quote, but
Nah, let's go for it.
let's dive straight in, because this is another quote that is essentially exactly that moment when
Yeah.
so do you want to just give a little context, Nicole, for like, so she arrives at the island, like Pan takes her, she arrives at the island, and can you just like fill us in
Yes.
very
Okay.
briefly on like what happens when she arrives, like why she's been taken before I
Yeah.
get into this
Okay.
moment?
So she
Yeah.
obviously doesn't know, but they keep asking her like information, and she's like, I don't understand. I didn't know you guys were real. I've just found this out. I have no clue what you
Like,
need
what
from
the
me.
fuck is going on?
Like, I have no fucking clue what's going on. And they're like, you need to tell us the thing.
Yeah.
And she's like, what thing? Like, that didn't your mom tell you, or generations? Like, surely you know the thing. And she's like, what the fuck is the thing? I don't understand. I can't remember their actual words. But essentially, she's there, and now she's been put into a room. She can't do anything. She needs to just, they're kind of looking after her by like giving her food and making sure she's okay in that sense. But she's just got a bedroom, and then they're like keeping guard by
She's like
her
a
door.
prisoner,
She's
basically.
a
Like
prisoner,
she's
but she's kind of like looking, because she's so freaking smart, she's like looking for these opportunities where she can like use her smarts and her
she's like,
boobs.
I want to get back home. She's like,
Yeah, I
what
need
the
to figure
fuck?
this shit out.
Like,
Yeah.
I need to make a plan. I can only rely on myself. And so she's
And
looking
she
for
knows she doesn't have the information they need as well. So she's like, I have to either lie or get my way in somewhere. And she sees all these guys. So she sees these lost boys. She gets introduced to them. And was it Kaz? No, was it Bash
yeah. So
first?
Kaz and Bash are the twins that
Oh,
have
the
kind of
twins.
been like put on
I
her
love
as
them.
like, yeah, they've kind of been put on her as like her security detail, more or less. Like
Yeah,
Pan is kind of like
disappeared
he's
for a little
there,
bit.
he's around, but he kind of disappears really mysteriously. And at this point in time, we don't really understand why
He's disappearing.
he's
Yeah.
disappearing. Like,
So
so
Kaz and Bash are around, and Bash Kaz is like looks her ups and down, and there's a kind of a soft spot slash intrigue there for him, and she notices it. She picks that up. She's quick as a whip. She's like, there we go, there's my in. Because he clearly he looked me up and down. He saw something. That's my way in. Anyway,
I think this is a good moment for the quote.
Is this the moment?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
yes,
this
go.
is a good moment for the quote. You've like perfectly segued us into this quote. So yeah, like when he's sitting in her room on her own, she might even be like handcuffed to the bed, I think, or something.
Yeah,
like
I think she is.
She's got like a chain kind of like it's like long enough she can move around, but she's like, she ain't going anywhere, basically. Like,
yeah.
and so she's sitting there working it out, and she's reflecting back on a friend who I think was like an old neighbor of theirs.
Yeah.
And was she a stripper, I think?
I don't know if she was a stripper. I think she was, or she could have been a stripper as well, but I feel like she was a sex worker.
Yeah, she basically that was her world, that was her life. And Winnie was like pretty close to it. Like there was probably like one of her only friends she's had kind of growing up.
Friend slash mother.
Yeah, like a bit like a mother figure for her. Yeah.
Figure,
so anyway, this lady's name is Starla. So Winnie's thinking to herself, if Starla were here, she'd be telling me to use what I have. And she's remembering, like, quoting Starla. Most men don't realize this, she said once, but us girls, we have toolboxes too. Ours aren't stuffed with hammers and wrenches and screwdrivers. We have these. She gave her boobs a squeeze. And this, then tapped her temple. And there's no greater power than tits and brains, baby girl. And so then when he's like thinking to herself, she's
Naps for Starla.
Yeah, I fucking love Starla. Like, we could have had a whole spin-off book on Starla, I think.
Let's do that.
Oh my God,
Fucking
imagine if
epic
she'd been
lady.
let loose in Neverland. Like, holy fuck.
Imagine Starla and Hook. Oh my God.
So then Winnie thinks to herself, the way Kaz's gaze lingered on me, ... If any of them are the weak link, it's him.
Fucking love that, the weak link.
Yeah. Can he take me home? And she's meaning as in back to her land, back to human normal world. Does he know how to leave the island? I'm sure I can get him on my side. In the darkness of my room, an idea takes hold. I sit up, clear my throat, and call out for Kaz. And within minutes, his footsteps sound outside my bedroom door, and my heart leaps into my throat. I'm going to fuck a lost boy. And that's like the moment.
The plan is set. I'm going to fuck a lost boy.
In this book that you're just like, decided. Fuck yes, Winnie darling, like you.
Yeah. Power to the fucking queen.
You go, girlfriend. Yeah. Yeah. So we have Winnie now underway with her plan.
She's underway with her plan, and this is, do you have the other quote, or is this just us riffing?
I think we can just riff on this a little bit, because
I think
like one of the things I think that we wanted to riff on was that, like, there's this fantastic fucking wordplay that Nikki Crowe brings in throughout this whole series, that the play on the last name Darling. And right from the get-go, there's basically Peter Pan has always laid down the law that is, we do not touch the darling. Do not touch the darling. Do not touch the darlings. And
it is, again, and this is the forbidden aspect of it, which is so fucking hot.
And so they call her,
do not touch the darling.
And so they refer to it as in, like, this very impersonal, like, do not touch the darling. We do not touch the darling.
She's an object,
because
she is this thing.
For generations, they've brought the women of the Darling family here to try and extract this information, and have failed every time. And now they have Winnie Darling, who is the great descendant of the OG original
Darling.
Wendy Darling?
Wendy,
Wendy. So they kind of refer to them as this, like, you know, thing. But then it very quickly flips and becomes, they refer to her as Darling. And it's just like goosebumps every time, right?
I'm like so sweaty. Like Barbie, like my cheeks are so I'm smiling so much. My cheeks are so, like, actually, like, I feel like my face is stuck like this because I'm so happy. But, like, it's so fucking beautiful.
If you're listening along, we're both just like grinning like two rockets.
But I think the beautiful thing about this is that even though it's so dark, like we know again that it's going to be happily ever after. We know that there's no real darkness to this because at the end of the day, they fall in love, they live happily ever after. It's fucking magical. And your heart can just swoon all along the journey, not be like, oh my gosh, is this like really bad? It's not really bad. It's fucking bad, but it's not really bad because they fall in love, you know?
Yeah. Like,
so like,
spoiler alert, happily ever after exists, but there are some
real hiccups
on the way.
Real hiccups,
On the way to
hardcore
get there.
humps, speed bumps,
So,
fucking, you know,
so
everything.
we
But I
have
think
the concept of we don't touch the darling, do not touch the darling.
yes,
We especially do not fuck the darling.
we don't, that's not even a thought. That's not even a thought. We're not even speaking of this. So when she's got this entire idea to like, oh, I'm gonna fuck a lost boy, and they're all like, don't touch the darling, there's like this beautiful like energy in this book that you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? Like, is she gonna fuck them? Like, what is happening here?
Like, how is this gonna shake
how
out?
is this gonna shake out?
Because Peter Pan, who is like fucking badass villain king,
he
lays down the law, laid down his fucking decree over generations of this happening. And Winnie Darling comes on in and basically is like, you get in here.
Let's do the thing.
Virtually has her way with Kaz.
Kaz, but doesn't he like stop it? Because I think she tries something.
He's
like, no.
Like she says, like he was the soft touch essentially.
He's the soft one,
but also she kind of like underestimated that he might be the soft touch, but he's also like wise enough to what she's doing that he's like, no, just like immediately picks up on what she's trying to do and is like, no.
And also like he knows he like doesn't want to bend the rules, doesn't want to break the rules, whereas Bash,
he's loyal to Pan. He, you know, he knows that this is not a good decision.
Whereas he can like hear that in the back of his mind, like I want to fuck the darling, but like I can hear Pan going, "What the fuck?" in my head,
or like
his head. Like
Pan is literally gonna have my head if I do this.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like obeying the rules, right?
Ash, on the other hand, his twin is just like walks straight into the fucking hornet's nest, and within seconds they are fucking.
It's like we just meet Bash and all of a sudden they're fucking, and it's just like what like we didn't say 2 words, nothing really happened, but all of a sudden, and then Kaz is like, oh fuck, he fucked the darling, he's fucking oh god, he's gonna like
but also like we have this brilliant opening moment where, you know, Kaz turns her down and basically like gets the fuck out of there, goes straight somewhere else, and is
Mission
like
Impossible run.
And is like it's basically like shoving his dick down some girl's throat within seconds, like thinking of her. And when he's like watching out the window, she's like,
she's like, I had a hold on him. He's thinking about me.
She's like, I know I got under his skin, and she's like getting all turned on watching that. Bash comes in. They basically are like just straight away getting down to it.
This is the
lo and behold, guess who walks in?
Never King.
Yes,
Pan. Or just pause for effect.
Just pause to breathe for a moment. So we basically got Bash literally caught with his pants down. Winnie
fucking the darling.
like doing exactly what he is not supposed to be doing. Winnie is like seconds away from coming. And
Pan walks in.
And basically everybody freezes. And
he lights a cigarette and just like sits in the corner, and he's like, don't stop for me, like carry on.
Holy shit, that moment like he's just like don't stop on my account, carry on. And that is like a holy hell, like that moment is
just wipe the drool.
Nicole's just like fixing herself up over here.
I mean, I did not think, honestly, before this book, I was like, voyeurism, weird. I don't know what that's about. Like, I just like had this image of like old men, like old weird men sitting in dark corners, like being a voyeur. I was like, I don't know if I'm into that. That's weird. This book,
Yeah.
I'm like, Pan, where are you? Do you want to watch? Do you want to sit? Here's,
Yeah, yeah.
this is your seat. Come sit right here. I've like
Pull you up a
saved your seat.
chair.
Come on, Pan. This
This
is where
book
your
was just
I've
like,
reserved your seat in my bedroom.
this book was just like a series of like kinks unlocked, like
Yes.
bing, 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 like unlocked, unlocked.
I think that's the problem as well. Like, because you can go on like a kink site and like do a quiz to say like what kinks you're into. Once you read these books, it's like everything. I'm done.
Yeah, yeah.
Done. All of the things. Tick, tick. Yes, that one. That one. Yes, I'll do that too,
Tick,
please.
yes, add to cart.
Add to cart. Can I have a pan with that and some Lost Boys, please? And should we do give a vein too? Yes, give me like 3 veins.
We haven't
I
even
want
talked
3.
about Vane yet, and we're like already lost our shit. Like we haven't even talked about Vane. So,
But that moment was fucking gold.
yeah,
Just
like
carry on.
that
Don't mind
moment
me.
just, and so I think, you know, because we're not really giving too much away for this scene. Like Nicole, I'm just like looking at Nicole in the camera here, and Nicole is like just about rocking in her chair. If you're listening on audio, Nicole's body language right now is just like the most hilarious thing I've ever seen of anticipation of like where we're going with this. So,
oh shit, yeah. Like this is why we say we couldn't start with this book, because we would be like in
mess.
like we would not be able to articulate any words. Like I'm struggling right now. Like there's so much saliva in my mouth. Thinking about fucking Pan and the Lost Boys, like I cannot contain myself. Imagine this was the first episode. I would not be able to do this. Like we had to bring you in slow, guys. Honestly, but we need to have
we need
yeah, but okay, honestly, when you read this book, we need to hear your screams on all the platforms. Like I need to see that you experienced it the same way that Rose and I did, because if you then there's something wrong with us, and that's okay. I'm down for there being something wrong.
I've always known there was something wrong with me. Like it's not even,
I've only recently found out.
I write books like this, but like, come on. Nicole knows.
Yeah,
anyone who's read my books knows. So we are in the middle of like this voyeuristic moment where like Peter Pan, the bad guy, the king himself, is like sat himself in the corner, watched Bash like fucking like
banging.
Yeah, Bash does not have any self-control in this situation, does not ensure when he comes first. He's out the gate.
Isn't that like Kaz coming back in to like see this whole thing go down? Is that the scene?
Kaz is that later? Like, Kaz has gapped it. Like Kaz is like, I'm not gonna be any like Kaz is out of the picture in this, but basically like Pan just pretty much like snaps his fingers at Bash and is like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Just him and Winnie on their own, which is like,
and now this
like,
is danger.
Yeah, like because this is where the like danger element comes back in.
Yeah, because
he's like, oh shit, like what's like, the reaction gonna be? I'm like watching Nicole melt down in front of me in like a series of like moments. So Winnie is left on her own with Pan, basically, like for the first time, and she is like literally like,
oh shit,
he could breathe on her and she would probably have an orgasm right now. So she is like that fucking close. And so he basically tells her to carry on her own. And we have this incredibly fucking hot moment where Winnie is
so intense,
being on under full scrutiny of Peter
Pan. Peter Pan, what you do to me?
How should we put this? There's some touching involved, but it is very much it has got that kind of like
leaving you wanting more.
Yeah, it's got that kind of villainous, like I'm not
You're
doing,
in trouble.
yeah, like this is punishing you sort of thing. Which, holy shit, shouldn't be as hot as it is, but it is fucking hot. So
Yeah, because does he is this
yeah.
the part where he like, because Bash was like getting her from behind. Is this when he's like holding her?
Oh no, that's what comes next. That's what
Is
comes
that
next.
next book? Oh,
No,
next book.
no, that's what like comes a little bit later in this book. But yeah, like this book definitely is in the realm of the dubious consent
Yes,
conversation,
that's what the
which is
conversation
what
we wanted to have here.
which is what I think is important to kind of, as we
Touch
know,
on.
like this is dark romance, right? Like, so we're talking about the villains here. Like, these are not the nice guys that are cuddling and kissing and whatever. Like, these are the guys that are like straddling that line on
Straddling.
no
I
pun
feel like a
intended.
little boy when you say
They
like balls or straddling or
yeah,
like haha.
Nicole's turned into a teenage boy. Um, um, this book firmly gets into the territory of dubious consent within at least one of the scenes, and
At least.
at least one of the scenes.
Yeah.
And maybe before we touch on that, I wondered whether we should just have a little moment to talk about our beloved Daddy
Twins.
Vane that we haven't
Yeah, we haven't spoken about him.
really attended to yet. I think mainly because Daddy Vane probably deserves like a whole episode on his own.
Yeah.
But
I feel like that's going to need to happen at some point because he's got a whole book.
We just need to have like an episode where we maybe just like go into our favorite like
characters of all time.
Characters, like, you know, we can just do a like best of.
Yeah. Characters from the favorite books. Yeah.
Best of murderous male main characters.
I feel like we like this guy as well because he's so like broody, and both of our partners are very much like that. Like, there's this mystery, there's this broodiness, there's this like there's this like hard exterior that you need to crack open to see like the gooey inside. But
so Vane is #damage. Vane is you should not be going anywhere near him, but holy fucking shit, he can get it.
Yeah.
Like,
Vane is danger. Like,
Vane is danger with a capital D. He's got like a face that is
capital
like
D.
Capital D for daddy, and
both, Dave, Dick, Daddy Vane, all of the D's, danger.
He has got like half his face is fucking like sliced open through his eye. He's got like this bright purple eye. Yeah, like Nicole is literally gripping the table in front of him as we're talking about this. He possesses what is known as the Death Shadow, which is this kind of like entity that belongs to the islands of this world. So we've got Neverland as one island, and then we've got other lands that are within this world that we have yet to visit, but like cough, Nikki St. Crowe is writing more books that are going to go into those lands. So yeah, we're not gonna go there in this episode because we will literally have you here all day if we'll die about like the Nikki St. Crowe like multiverse.
Yeah. Nikki, you are a goddess, honestly. Yeah, like Nikki, bow down because this is
to you. Yeah,
I cannot get over these novels, seriously.
Yeah. So Vane possesses what's known as the Death Shadow, which is essentially gives him not only is Vane a villainous character, I guess by default anyway, but he then has this Death Shadow thing going on, which is basically feeds off terror, and he can elicit terror in people just by pretty much like looking at them. And Winnie has this experience with him that basically she's trying to be sassy, she's trying to be Winnie, she's trying to be like,
she's trying to like manipulate him into like she thinks she can do the same with everybody else that she like do it with him, and he's like, oh baby girl, you don't know what you're playing with right now,
and he like he just immediately turns the death shadow on her and like brings up all the fear and terror and like, you know, is basically a colossal asshole to her, like straight out the gate. And there's this really interesting side conversation that happens after she's kind of I think it's after she's left the room pretty much, that she like is kind of, you know, quite shaken up by this encounter. And I think they have this kind of side interaction where Vane basically, oh no, I don't know if Vane's part of the conversation. I can't remember, sorry. But basically it's confirmed that he's doing her a favor by scaring her off, you know, that like there is so much worse that he could do to her. And I think kind of I guess
the hashtag trauma is coming out.
Yeah, like this entire book basically sows the seed of us all gagging for Daddy Vane. Don't actually get any Daddy Vane action in this book. Like just kind of basically you get Edge.
He's the real villain of this book, essentially.
This entire book,
yeah. So like we get a taste of all the villains in this book, like the Lost Boys and Pan are all the villains, but Vane in this book is like the real villain. Like he's the dark one, and the next book's actually called The Dark One, and he's really fucking dark. Like this is dark romance. We're already in the dark zone, and then there's Vane who's like in the fucking deep dark. Dark.
He is the dark.
He is the dark of the dark romance. Yeah, exactly. He is the dark. And it's quite beautiful though, because I think again they're playing with this duality of this the dark romance, but then the way you meet these characters and these story arcs, you're always getting into the juice of them and you're opening them up and cracking them open, and then they're just so fucking beautiful. Oh my god, I love you, Vane.
So here's our Vane, like our little snippet of Vane for you from this book. And this is kind of this moment when he's trying to play him, and you know, so she's having this real like flirtatious moment with Bash in the kitchen, and in comes Vane. And I think they're like playing with he's like cooking breakfast or something, making like pancakes, and so she's like busy like being all flirtatious and like dipping her finger in the batter and stuff. Taking in a deep breath, I run my tongue over my bottom lip and swipe away the mess, meaning like pancake batter or whatever it was. I say, so good. Frustration is a flicker in his good eye. This is Vane. I give him the same show I gave Bash and swipe up the last of the mess with my index finger, then stick it in my mouth and practically fuck myself with it. Like Winnie fucking balls, honestly. Like she is just like, I am not here to play. Like
he's gold. Yeah. She knows her power.
So and then Vane's violet eye turns black, which is like the dark. The death shadow is taking over. When his eye changes color, like we know, and I think there's also something like his hair changes color as well when it's like really consuming him.
But he can kind of mostly control it.
Mostly.
Yeah, that's why it's fucking scary, because this is like, how much of control does he have?
Maybe question mark. So his violet eye turns black. I stumble back. He advances on me. Vane, Bash says. Vane grabs me by the back of the neck and drives me into the island, bending me over the counter, forcing my face to the cool stone. I huff out a breath as he presses against my ass and leans over me, his voice at my ear. Do you want to know what I do to pretty little girls like you? His voice is rough and rumbling, the kind of voice you only hear in horror movies coming out the throats of monsters. Oh, so good. The terror slithers up my back, across my shoulders. This is his like death shadow.
The death shadow, yeah.
Like, and again,
the power.
For anyone who is not watching this on video, Nicole is literally like biting her knuckle as I'm reading this out. Can't stop the whimper from coming out of my throat. Vane, Bash says again. Vane is hard at my ass, digging into me, and my heart leaps, tangling with the pulsing terror. I'm scared out of my mind and turned on more than I should be. And I don't know what that says about me.
I fucking
And
love it.
collectively, we can all agree, Winnie darling, I don't know what that says about me, but holy fucking shit.
Oh, it's
And
amazing.
it gets even better to just like finish up this moment between them. Vein on my neck turns punishing. You wouldn't last 10 minutes with me, he says.
Challenge accepted. Challenge fucking accepted, Vane. Daddy Vane.
Daddy fucking Vane.
Ooh.
Holy shit.
So I think
Holy
about that scene as well, what I love about it and the way Nikki has
I'm gonna need
weaved
like a
in the
moment.
magic there.
You carry
Yeah,
on
like
talking. I'm gonna need a moment over here.
just fan yourself. But the way Nikki weaves in the energy of that scene, because if they were alone, we wouldn't know how dangerous Vane was. But because Bash is there and Bash is like, I know how dangerous Vane is, Winnie doesn't actually know. She doesn't know. So she's playing with fucking fire.
Piles up the fucking tension, right? Like
It
all
does.
he
He's
says
like,
is his
Vane,
name.
like, watch yourself. Do I have to do something? But also Bash is like, I don't know if I want to do something because what if the death shadow turns on me? Like, that's
well, they're
fucking
like
scary.
as much as they're scared of Pan because he's the king and he's like the powerful, you know, like he is Neverland basically. Like it lives and breathes with him. Vane is like
Vane is the side. Yeah.
yeah, and they know
Like,
that Vane like could easily fuck them up if he turned on them. So it's like we have this dynamic where they're like found family, but at the same time there is so much inherent trust within all of them that they have come to this kind of trusting
agreement.
They're not going to turn on each other. They are going to have each other's backs. And one of the things just off the back of that is because Kaz and Bash are kind of like this, I want to say almost like jovial kind of like
they're the
energy. They're the fae. They're kind of, you know, they're absolutely fucking gorgeous. Like, and they're this kind of, you know, they'll cook her breakfast and, you know, go
they're
fishing.
playful. They're playful.
Yeah, they're very playful energy. But then we have this like moment that just like comes in fucking hot where it's like we find out that the whole reason they've been ejected from the Fae court and that they have been taken in by Pan is because they
killed their father.
Their own father.
Yeah.
Like, so
you're like, oh shit, these guys are the bad guys.
Yeah, like we get really kind of sucked in, like Winnie does, to thinking that Kaz and Bash are like this very friendly, easygoing energy, which is what they portray a lot of the time. But they have got
they've got the darkness too. Yeah, and it's so fucking juicy as well with them. Like, oh my god, guys, please read this book so we can scream. Not this book, this whole series. You literally need to consume it all in one go because you cannot do it any other way. There's no other way to read these books. Like in my brain, they're all like merging.
Inhale them, put aside your life, inhale these books. They are quite quick reads. Like one of the things I will say is that Nikki St. Crowe's writing is amazing in what she conveys in a very, very short, concise way of writing, but there is so much
juice
packed into very simple phrases. And yeah, like the way she writes is just so hypnotic for me because I find myself just looking at it time and time again. And I'm like, you've got
how did she do that?
Words. How did you just make this entire world pop into my mind with just something as simple as 5
and
or
the
6
pace
words.
of her writing as well, like she's like writing like we've discussed this, like actual technicalities of author writing and everything. We've discussed this at length. Like she can literally, she'll write like a long beautiful like waspy sentence and then like 3 words and you're just like how like the pace of everything it's just amazing. Like it's fucking magnificent, honestly. I'm in awe of this writing. And I am these characters, I know everything.
So to wrap up our kind of character swoon moment, we did have this final quote that basically touches on the twins, Kaz and Bash, because we wanted to kind of just make sure that we had spotlighted how in this book particularly, they are kind of the ones that get to know Winnie on a
The
on a
most,
level
yeah.
that they get to know her the most. Like Pan is this very elusive figure for
Yeah.
the majority of this book, and Vane is obviously present, but he is the colossal, dangerous, scary asshole of this book. Like he is the monster in this book that is
Yeah, he definitely is.
and Kaz and Bash are kind of this somewhere in the middle. Like we know they're dangerous, we know they're villainous, but they're cheeky, they're enticing, they're sexy as all fucking hell. So this is a moment from Winnie's perspective. I've never slept in a bed with someone else, which is also like, you know, just that as an opening line to this chapter is
Bold.
it says so much about Winnie, like you were mentioning before, about like that when we first meet her, she's literally in the back of some fucking jock's truck. Like, you know, so this speaks volumes to Winnie's upbringing. You know, she's got trauma.
And her relationships and
She's
everything,
never had
connection with people.
she's never had someone close to her. Like even her own mum has never been close to her, essentially. So I've never slept in a bed with someone else, but as I climb in beneath the sheets with Kaz on my left and Bash on my right, I feel oddly content. It's like sleeping between two ridiculously hot sentinels. One of them, and so she talks about their magic here because they've got fae magic, and like, I mean, come on, like to have two fucking hot twins like casting their fae magic, like, where do I sign up? One of them has created an illusion on the ceiling and another on the floor so that it feels like I'm nestled in a magical forest grove. Pretty little pink flowers glow in the dark. I am so happy and I don't know why and I don't know what to do with it. It's like that one line just takes your heart and like rips it out because you're like,
and you want them to be happy. You want them all to want to cry.
I know.
So fucking beautiful.
So it's like in amongst all of this incredibly hot sexual tension, deliciousness going on, you've got this real like sense of, you know, a character,
a real beauty
who's been
developing
shit, and like this is her starting to heal, essentially. The journey she goes on with these boys is her healing journey as much as anything. It's a sense, so this is the continuation of I'm so happy, I don't know why, and I don't know what to do with it. It's a sensation that fits like a coat that's too small, like I might burst the seams if I stretch too far. I snuggle into Bash's side. He's shirtless, and the hazy pink glow lights him up in technicolor. What's that? I ask, and nod at whatever he has in his hands. He winds his arm around me and holds up my arm, tying a rope bracelet around my wrist. There's an acorn cap threaded through the rope. A kiss, he says.
And the way she brings in these little things from like the real Peter Pan stories,
like weaves in just little nods to the original tale, and
just acknowledging that it was amazing, but now we've just made it darker and sexier, but it's still like just an acknowledgement to how incredible that story was and still is, like how many years later. But we've taken
really,
that
like,
original
captured that energy. And there's actually there's a lot of humor in these books that, you know, we already kind of talked about a little bit, but just that moment of him being shirtless, there's a really funny couple of references in this book that she makes to basically, I think she says something like, these boys are allergic to shirts because they're constantly walking around with no shirts on. And she's like, how like I need to stand myself. Talking about how they're allergic to wearing shirts. And it's just like the most relatable, funny thing, because here she is, like, you know, trying to be the good captive, trying to figure out how she can keep herself safe, or trying to figure out how she can get out of this predicament that she's found herself in. Meanwhile, she's got like this array of man candy going on like around her, particularly with the twins. Like I think Pan again is kind of like off being elusive. Vane, as far as we know, is fully clothed at, like, you know, the entire time of this book, at least.
Oh God,
but book, at least
of this book, and the next book, and the next book, and the next book. Oh my goodness, these stories are just beautiful. The characters are insanely like, just I can't get enough. They are.
To round out this wild, chaotic, hell of a hot journey into Waichus and dark fairy tale reimagining Lost Boy dreamscape that we have brought for you.
Peter
For this
Pan will never be
episode.
the same. Like, be
Yeah.
prepared.
Would you like, Nicole, to share with our dear listeners and watchers of this episode why are we obsessed?
Why are we obsessed?
If it's not clear enough already, what is probably like the thing that is this real golden
You know
nugget?
what I think?
for
I
this?
feel like the element of danger to these books is just so freaking spot on that it's just magical, and then it gets even better in subsequent books. And I think that there's the beautiful way that she writes that, like the element of danger and being scared and turned on at the same time. Like you don't think of that. Like you're just like, oh yeah, no, like why? But then you read these books and you're like, haha, I get it. Tick. You're like, I know what you're saying.
Unlocked.
Yeah.
I am scared and horny at the same time.
I'll never be able to watch a horror ever again because, well, yeah, anyway. So I think that elements of that, and with every single character, she builds some of that in. So we've obviously got Daddy Vane coming at later stories, but we've also got that with the twins of like, we're playing a game, go hide in the forest in the first one to when he gets to fuck her. And I'm just like, this game, and she's like trying to hide in the forest, and it's all like she's involved, this total consent, but she's just like, holy shit, I need to go hide somewhere.
And what we will say is like this is a scene from a future book, but it is one of Nicole's favorite scenes. Like we in our WhatsApp chat have discussed this scene several
this scene
times.
is just gold. Oh my
One of
gosh,
those
I
moments
cannot.
that like lives rent free for Nicole.
I'm just like, I want to, like, if I'm not running through a forest one day with all four of these men, I'd like, this is what, if I ever get dementia, I just, the only thing that I want is that I believe in my demented state that I'm Winnie in these books. And every now and again I come to, and I'm like, oh, this is the real world. And I'm like, nope, let's go back.
No, we're in Neverland with
Neverland. I want to go to Neverland.
Multiple dicks and all of the fun.
Yeah. Let's just get them all at the same time, all in the same room. Exhibitionism, voyeurism, all of the things.
Yeah.
All of the things.
Just like line up all of the kinks and we'll explore them
we'll
all.
just tick them off. Yes, please. Yes, please. More, please. Yes, please.
Yeah. I consent.
I consent to it all.
Consent to it all.
Where's the tick box? Yeah, 100%. Yes.
Signed the waiver. Like,
don't even ask me anymore. Like I from the beginning of the day, I will sign my name where it needs to be signed, and then from here on out, everything is a yes.
Yeah. Like just presume my answer is always yes.
Even when it's no, it's a yes.
Yeah. Which is probably like a whole conversation for a future episode with the dubious consent thing, but we won't dive into that right now. Like
we've discussed that already.
Nicole and I are trying to land this plane.
We can't. Like all I'm thinking is, how much more can we talk about Vane? We can't. We cannot. We cannot land the fucking plane.
So my contribution to the hashtag why we're obsessed is,
yes, why are you obsessed?
Basically Daddy Vane is my contribution, but I feel like I've done that conversation.
You've said that. You've said that multiple times.
Reinforced that conversation, well and truly driven that point home in this episode. I think why I just love the Waichus genre so much,
yes,
and enjoy reading it so much is because we take these characters who are inherently flawed, like individually they are inherently fucking flawed, and when you bring them all together in this relationship dynamic,
yes,
all of them bring something that not only is kind of bringing it in to make like a whole, right?
Yes, it's like, little puzzle pieces.
Yeah, it's like all these puzzle pieces come together, and I really love, like, that is just the thing for me, because I'm a fucking like found family every time for me just does
Mm.
something. Like I just fucking love it. And
Mm.
why choose is like taking found family and just like dialing the temperature up like 1,000 degrees
Couple
and
of
making
like
it,
little chili
yeah,
emojis.
like making it super hot, making it super sexy. It's like, what's
Mm.
better than found family and orgasms? Like, you know,
Yeah,
it's like,
I mean,
what is better than
come
that?
on.
So it does bring in that element of like, these are flawed people who on their own have got their own shit, their own struggles, their
Yeah.
own character failings, and they come together and they have these beautiful growth moments, developments, journeys that they go on.
And they find trust and love and gooiness
Yeah,
and through all the hard, difficult
yeah, and I love,
darkness.
and as we talked about at the start, you know, for me personally, I really love ones where we have like true kind of polyamorous relationships where we've
Mm.
got male, we've got, you know, the bisexuality, we've got like all everyone is loving
Yeah.
everyone. And I really enjoy that within my why choose genre books specifically. But in this case, I really, really enjoy the way that this dynamic has been created. And I really love that we've got inherently villainous, flawed characters who are
Yeah.
deserving and worthy of love and being loved and growth. And particularly as the books go on, we see the relationships between not only obviously with Winnie and the boys, but we
Mm.
see within the boys as
With
well.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I think one of my favorite things is seeing how Pan and Vane's friendship develops and
Mm.
matures, you know, and a large part of that is due to Winnie.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that, and
Yeah. It's so
yeah,
fucking
it
beautiful.
is. It
Oh,
is.
and I mean,
It's
we
hot,
talk a
it's
lot about the
beautiful,
sex,
it's amazing.
obviously,
Yeah.
but like there's underneath that all, there's these beautiful, gooey, just gorgeous relationships, and I think
Yeah.
that definitely needs to shine in this book as well, or these
Yeah,
books.
and what we will say is that like definitely read this as if it was one book. I think just go into it knowing that you are going to be reading the whole lot as if it is one book. They're very quick
Mm.
reads individually. They do end on cliffhangers, but the entire series is complete. It is done. So you can basically just roll
Yeah,
straight
that's
from
that's
the other
a
to the other
warning
to
right
the
there.
other.
They do end on
They
cliffhangers. Like
do end
what I
on
would
big
do
cliffhangers.
is literally buy all books so you don't even
Yeah.
realize that there's a
Yeah.
cliffhanger. You just go into the next
Yeah,
one.
you just like roll straight from one to the next
Because
one to the next one.
I had
Yeah.
literal panic attacks when I couldn't get the next book. I was just
Yeah,
like,
actually, I remember you messaging me being like, where do I get hold of it? And I think I was
yeah,
telling you it's only just come out or it's only coming out in like a few weeks' time. And you were like, I
yeah,
need.
because that was the second book. The second book I had on my e-reader, which is not on Kindle, so I
Oh,
didn't
was
have
that
like
the point
instant access.
we were literally troubleshooting how to get Nicole onto Kindle? I think.
Yeah, I literally downloaded Kindle. It's like, hello, Kindle, can you
Yeah.
please sponsor this podcast? Because
Yeah.
seriously, I was like,
Nikki
get
and
Kindle
Crowe was
now.
like the
Yeah.
catalyst for
I was like,
Nicole.
how? And then it was like, but you can have Kindle Unlimited. And I was like, what is that? And they were like, but you can get all the books all the time. And you just pay one time a month and then you get all the reading. And I was like, what does that mean? And I was like, yes, please, I will have that. And then I
Yeah,
went,
yeah.
boom, boom, boom. The
Yeah.
rest of the books. Thank you, Kindle
Inhaled.
Unlimited.
Inhaled rapidly, and then it's like, and then the big like
Yeah. Then I was like, ha.
yeah,
And then I was like, who am I if I'm not
yeah,
Winnie Darling? Like,
yeah,
who am
yeah.
I?
Like my entire personality is now Winnie Darling of Neverland.
Yeah. And now I have to return to the real world and like,
Go and
who
do
is
my
Nicole
normal,
fucking Middleton?
yeah, normal life. One thing as well that we do feel that we have to mention, because as we say, the Nikki St. Crowe multiverse is absolutely delicious, and we do get to see the continuation of not this group but another character who we shall not spoiler, but is
Yeah.
so good, who is
So good.
the subject of the upcoming book. Is not
So
out
excited.
yet. I don't know when it's coming out, but it is essentially the spin-off of this. And so Winnie and her boys, her series is complete, and there are no further books coming for them.
So sad. Didn't
I
they have like
know, it is so
little
sad, but
tasters though? Didn't they have a taster, like not a spin-off, but like a little
oh, there's bonus scenes. Like
bonus scenes? They've got bonus scenes.
there's bonus scenes, and definitely those are worth downloading and getting into, because we see little points that are from, they're not all set after the end of the series. They're like literally from moments that are interacted in between, and we see some really beautiful perspective
side tangents
that bring in a bit more kind of depth and color to the dynamic between the characters, and also
it's beautiful,
incredibly sexy moments as well. So we won't spoil any of that for you.
No,
but
we won't.
Make sure to get the bonus scenes, because they are well worth the extra few clicks just to be able to enjoy that. So my love, this has been one hell of a journey into our why choose.
And now we can get into more why choose, because we've lubed the area. We've prepared the vessel.
We had to go there. Although we do have to say that in this first book, we don't quite get into that territory in this first book of this series, but stick with it, because
just do the whole thing.
Do the whole
series
there
in
eventually.
Yeah. So now that we've gone down this road, now we're gonna get into some other really cool fucking. I mean, there's so many, and I'm just like, we've gone down the dark road.
Case in point, refer back to our list at the start of this episode.
Yes.
Well, like basically, if you wanted to know my recommendations of where to go from here, that is my recommendation.
Yes.
Like those books, hands down, are always going to be
literally on my list next.
I don't even know, where's my list gone. Like that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books / series. Some of them are series that you can get into that are.
We'll put them in the show notes as well. Yeah.
So good. Yeah. We'll link them up in the show notes with this episode. So we've landed the plane. We landed the fucking plane. What a journey. What a fucking journey. Thank you to my darling Nicole fucking Middleton. You can find her online, on Instagram, on TikTok.
On all the places.
Yeah, on all the places. I am at Elliot Rose Author on all the places. The show is at successful.witches in all the places. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming on this beautiful ride to Neverland, to Why Choose, to all of the sexy boys.
To Daddy Vane.
To Daddy Vane. We love you and cannot wait to see you on the next episode, our darlings. Mwah.
Mwah.